Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the developer of the Quantum Leap Technique, and I'm the host of the Wellness Revolution podcast. On the Wellness Revolution podcast, we're looking for people who are making a difference in the healthcare industry. And today we have Rachel Aguanno from Home Care Assistance. And Rachel. And Rachel is, from the little bit of talking I've done with her, she is bringing heart and soul to the healthcare industry in Tampa, Florida. So, Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Rachel, how did you get into home healthcare?
Well, my mom opened up the franchise of home care assistants about 11 years ago, and she wanted it to be a family business. I was in New York at the time doing my own thing, but I wanted to get more into business. I was going to pursue a master's in business administration. And my mom said, "Why would you pay money to do that when I can teach you how to do business right here?" So I got to learn more about it, got to meet our caregivers, got to learn what home care actually is. I didn't really understand it at the time. In 2018, I moved down to Florida, joined her, and been doing it for the last 6 years. I love it.
Do you and your mom still work together?
We do. She is more part-time. She's in her mid 70s. So that was one of my goals, was to get her just doing what she wants to do. And she helps a little bit with my kids.
Gotcha. What do you what do you like about in your business? Because you said you love it. What do you love about doing this?
I love the connections, the building relationships that we have, like just the stories that we hear from our caregivers or sometimes our clients or the clients' families, of real impact on people's lives. There's a lot of sad situations that we see, but we bring the fun to it. And so just, I like, there's a picture we have that we put up recently of a client who's outside. She's wheelchair bound. She's got advanced dementia. She's on hospice, but she's outside in her wheelchair with just the biggest smile.
Oh.
And that, I love that kind of stuff. Makes my day.
And how about your caregivers? You said you like the stories from them as well. What do you love about what are your caregivers saying?
Yeah. I mean, the coolest thing is my coworkers, the caregivers, are professional friends. A part of what we do is companionship. And so, yeah, I mean, they'll just tell stories about how someone was in a bad mood or someone was really struggling with something. And then as they work with them over time, how they improve. So like we have a client who is pretty, sharp with us, very short, wasn't happy when they spoke to us. But when they started getting companionship 7 days a week, not only is she nice to us on the phone, but the caregivers will say like how the client's encouraging them now and wants to go out and about and go shopping. And it's just really cool to see the difference.
What's the average age of people you work with?
Average is probably in the mid 80s. Typically it's seniors, 70 to about 100. But then we have a few younger clients with disabilities.
Sure. And is this covered by insurance or Medicaid or Medicare or any of those things?
So we don't accept any of that. Medicare covers like a 1 hour shower visit after a major surgery. Medicaid covers it. They just don't reimburse enough for quality care. We hear a lot of complaints about people who are receiving care through Medicaid with other companies. But PPOs are starting to cover it. I don't accept that right now. We don't do medical billing, but it's been very interesting to see like United Healthcare and Aetna enter the home care space.
Huh. And hmm, what's a good question to ask you? What's what's been your biggest challenge in this space?
Finding and keeping the right caregivers. I'm not in the room with my employees when they're at people's houses, so I have to trust them. I don't babysit them, but we manage them, we train them, but really constantly updating that hiring process, making sure we're getting the right people that are trustworthy, that are caring, that are loving, that are going to do a great job, and then keeping track of that. I think we could, we always improve it. I think we do a really good job of it, but a great person goes through a hard time in their life and they're no longer a great caregiver, and being able to catch that very quickly or providing support to them in that time. If they need some time off to deal with their personal life, then come back to caregiving. Just, that human aspect of, we all have emotions and ups and downs, is the ongoing struggle that we
how do you manage? What are your systems for managing that?
Keeping really great communication and constant communication with both clients and caregivers. Like sometimes, and especially, when I first started, it was like, well, if we haven't heard anything, everything must be going well, right? And it's, no news is not good news. No news is bad news. You need to know what's going on, because that's when things start to fester or things catch you off guard. We need to be proactive about it. We do have a new program that we're going to be starting next year that'll help automate some of the caregiver like recognition and communication, so they feel a little bit more comfortable reaching out to us. So we don't have to be so manually proactive, but we'll always have to be somewhat manually proactive.
Gotcha. And you said this is a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the franchise of the home care assistants. How is that? What type of support do they give you?
Yeah, so it's an international franchise. We're in the US, Canada, and Australia. And so I think it's a really good balance that we're able to fully operate on our own. There's no real restrictions on us. So I can do what's best, especially in Florida. We're kind of a unique market compared to other parts of the country. But what they really bring is the scientific backing of some of our approaches to care. So Home Care Assistance has the proprietary balanced care method. They had doctors from Stanford study the people of Okinawa, Japan, where they routinely live to be over 100. They're healthy and active into their 80s and 90s. And what does that have in common? So the studies show longevity is 1/3 based on genetics and 2/3 based on lifestyle choices. And they have the 6 wellness indicators. And that's what we do when we look at care plans for our clients. What's their physical activity? Muscle is really important for your bones, for your independence. Being able to walk to the bathroom and go by yourself is a huge quality of life factor. When that goes, quality of life just isn't the same. But also mobility, being able to move. A really big piece that I love that they did too, and they did a separate study on this, but exercising the brain. People think dementia is all about memory, and memory is a part of it, but there's really 5 key parts of the brain. So a big example I hear is my mom's memory is going, she forgets that she has a doctor's appointment. Well, so they could be forgetting that they have the doctor's appointment. They could also be lacking the executive function to know how to get ready in time for it. Their attention and ability to focus could be different. And then 2 other aspects that of dementia that show up is visual spatial. A big problem is people not wanting to shower. Sometimes it can be as simple as a dark rug in front of the shower, and it kind of looks like a hole to the person with dementia. And then language. They're not necessarily forgetting a word. It's a whole different part of the brain. And we have exercises to exercise all 5 parts of the brain.
Fascinating. I like it.
So it helps prevent dementia, delay new symptoms. And
you can regenerate the brain at any age, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Interesting. I like your approach. Really cool. Yeah. So have you, so you have the person you're giving care to, that I guess you work with the family, closely with the family as well?
Yeah. In the scenarios that there is family, there's often children, sometimes there's siblings, often there's multiple, and hopefully they have a key decision maker. Sometimes we have to work through those family dynamics. And then we also work with professional guardians if there's no family in place or the family's not doing the right thing for
What do you mean by professional guardians? Where somebody assigns? I'm not sure you understand what you mean by that.
Yeah. So if an adult, most commonly a senior, can't make decisions in their own best interest anymore,
Uh,
it's dementia, but sometimes it's bipolar or other issues. But the courts will step in Florida and appoint someone to be a professional guardian. Or like if a child who's the power of attorney, maybe they just don't want to do it and they choose to hire a professional guardian, but sometimes children will steal from their parents and they have to put someone in to make
gotcha.
decisions for the incapacitated person.
So when they get a professional guardian assigned, I guess the person has some type of means to pay for it. They're having a estate or something, or is it,
For
or
professional, there's also public guardians, so it can be done uh,
and
free
then
as well.
the public pays for the services or your services? Really?
Not for my services, but for the guardian. Not all the guardians get paid
Gotcha.
or get paid by the individual.
So the individual pays you through their estate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Gotcha.
they'll have some kind of fund. So I'm private pay.
Gotcha. About what is your services? What's the cost investment for your services?
Yeah, right now our rate is $34 an hour. And we don't, a lot of companies like vary by overnight care, weekend care, length of shift. We don't do that. There's enough problems or confusion with aging. We don't need to change the rate every shift.
So for $34 an hour, what type of in-home services does that accompany?
Yeah, so that's to have our caregiver go so they can help um, with things around the house, laundry, preparing meals, transportation, and then also the more personal items, transferring, going from a sitting to a standing position, walking around, showers, toileting.
Gotcha.
And a lot of it's companionship. They get to know each other. They go out for walks at the park and, have good conversation.
Gotcha. And some people just use it for like part-time, I assume, and sometimes it's full-time depending on. So do you like come in for like 4 hour shifts or 8 hour up to?
Yeah. So a really common question we get, people really want like a 1 or 2 hour morning shift, 1 or 2 hour evening shift. And that, if someone can find a friend or a neighbor who will help them with that, that's great.
Right.
But this is a job for the caregivers.
Yeah.
The 2 hours doesn't,
No,
cover.
that doesn't cover their transportation to get there.
Exactly. So we do a 4 hour shift minimum. And then, we go all the way up to 24-hour care. We've even had like a person who needed a 2-person transfer. So they had to have 2 caregivers at a time. We've also had a couple where often couples can just have one caregiver, but this particular couple needed their own individual caregiver the whole time.
Gotcha.
So whatever they need, we make it work.
Awesome. So how do people get in touch with you?
So
if they're in your services?
Yeah, so we're 24/7. They can give us a call. We also do text message through our main line, and then we have our website where they can learn more about us.
What's your website?
My website is homecareassistancetampabay.com, and our phone number is 727-330-7862.
You ever run any specials? Like a get to know you special, try us out special, or anything like that?
Well, so we always do free introductions for our caregivers. So having someone in the house that you don't like is not only not worth paying for, but it can cause more harm.
Gotcha.
Stress. And so there's no point in certainly not paying for someone you don't like in your house. Don't have someone you don't like in your house, period.
Yeah.
So we do free introductions to our caregivers to make sure our clients are comfortable with the person, they like them before they ever spend a penny.
Yep. Are we really a fit? Yep. That's great.
Yes.
So they're interviewing you and you're interviewing them. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Rachel, thank you for being on the show. And I do have one quick question to ask you that I end every show with. And my question to you is, what do you love about life?
What do I love about life? I think it's just the relationships. I have 3 young kids under the age of 3 right now. And just seeing them grow, and it's changed how I interact with and see other people too, that we're human from babies all the way to seniors. And there's nothing like interacting with other people.
Awesome. Well, so if you're in the Tampa Bay area, and how wide of an area do you cover? Just
We
Tampa Bay?
we service all of Pinellas County.
Okay, cool. So if you're down to South Florida and you like Rachel's personality and what she's about, give her a call, and I think she'll do a great job for you. Awesome, Rachel. Thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.